The original Silk Road was a trade route that connected purchasers and producers in the Far East with purchasers and producers in Europe in the 13th and 14th century. The modern Silk Road was a dark web marketplace set up by criminals to avoid government meddling in their criminal activities. Though it only operated for 2 years, the marketplace was responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in illegal goods sales, as well as the deaths of at least 6 people from those illegal goods. Eventually, the authorities were able to track down the founder and operator of the Silk Road through an online job posting. This led to the dramatic public arrest of the founder in a public library. I wonder if the librarian shushed the authorities. Then there was the dramatic 4-week trial of this man where he was convicted. And now, thanks to the efforts of former Tea Party candidates, he's a free man walking the streets without any oversight at all, and I'll tell you how that happened as well. Let's dig in and learn all about this case and how the protagonist is now an unrestricted free man. Right after my overly obnoxious trigger warning. Roll the intro.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun don't ever shine. I will shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I am going where the cold wind blows. In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine. Shiver.
The dark web was conceived of in 2002 when the international intelligence community realized just how easy it was for people to infiltrate sites and communications on the open and deep webs. The Silk Road was a trading route that tied the Chinese Empire to the Roman Empire. Ideas and goods were traded on the route for centuries. While much of what we know of this trade route is steeped in mystery and myth, largely coming from Marco Polo's famous and highly inaccurate autobiography, it has come to represent an unregulated marketplace and therefore is a perfect fit for the dark web. But what is the dark web? Just as the spiderweb becomes tighter with individual threads being harder to identify the closer to the center you get, the cyberweb is structured in a similar way, with the open, deep, and dark webs all operating simultaneously, with all three of them making up what we refer to as the internet today. The open web contains about 4% of the information available on the internet and is probably the sum total of what you think of when you think about the internet. The deep web contains about 80% of the information available on the internet, and you've probably used it without knowing it. This is information which is not indexed and not publicly available. However, if you've ever utilized a VPN to access your company's intranet via the internet, you have utilized the deep web. Finally, in the darkest recesses of the internet exists the dark web, comprising about 16% of the information on the internet and only accessible through specialized web browsers. While not everything that takes place on the dark web is illegal, much of it is. It is specifically designed to protect the anonymity of its users while also facilitating the trading of ideas, services, and goods between them. Let's take a moment to dig a little deeper into this hidden and seedy place. The dark web was originally conceived of in 2002 when the international intelligence community realized how easy it was for people to infiltrate the open and deep webs. Even today, much of the communication on the dark web is conducted by journalists, whistleblowers, law enforcement, and intelligence agencies. They see it as a fundamental and necessary in today's connected world. It is often touted as a bastion of free speech, free press, safe communication, and safe interconnection of agencies. But what is it? Technically, it is very similar to the open web with one big difference. Instead of being indexed by public servers, it is maintained through thousands of proxy servers operated by thousands of volunteers around the world, where various types of obfuscation are utilized to ensure anonymity of the users and operators. It is accessed through specialized web browsers that access sites using different protocols than the open web. These web browsers operate for the user like any other web browser. It is what happens behind the scenes which makes them different. Let's take a look at the most popular one called Tor, which stands for the onion router. But how does it actually work? Have you ever cut up an onion? You know how the onion is structured into layers, with each layer being separated from the other layers? Well, as the name implies, Tor does a similar thing digitally. You type a request into the browser like a Google search on the open web. The browser then encrypts the request and sends it to one of thousands of proxy servers randomly. When a proxy server receives the encrypted data, it unencrypts the data and sends it on to another random proxy server. Eventually, your request arrives at the destination, where the process is repeated to return the requested information to you. This combination of encryption and random bouncing makes it very difficult to track the sites providing the information to the users requesting it. Unless they just happen to grab the initial or final proxy server requests, which, remember, are random. Okay, now that we know how the dark web works, let's take a look at a marketplace that operated on it from 2011 until 2013. Law enforcement agents had made more than 60 purchases of illegal substances through the site. The Silk Road came to the attention of worldwide authorities in 2011 when The Guardian published an expose on the site. It is a website similar to eBay, but focused on the buying, selling, and trading of illegal and unethical goods, services, and information. Worldwide, politicians and law enforcement were seeking to shut the site down, but couldn't locate the site's servers or who operated them because of how Tor works. The transactions on the site could not be tracked because it used Bitcoin. In 2025, I'm pretty sure I can skip a detailed explanation of cybercurrency, but in 2013, and especially in 2011, cryptocurrency was new and few knew how to obtain and use it, let alone track it to an actual person. Well, governments could have shut down Silk Road by shutting down Tor or shutting down Bitcoin. These were not options governments could easily take, because Bitcoin and Tor are nothing but tools. The malice and the illicit activity is in the user's hands, not intrinsic to the tool. Think of it this way. You have a knife in your hand. Are you going to cut a steak or a person? In 2012, sales on the Silk Road hit $1.7 million a month, mostly from illegal drug sales. In 2013, Silk Road had almost 13,000 listings in topics like cannabis, dissociatives, ecstasy, intoxicants, and opioids. Law enforcement agencies had made over 60 purchases of illegal substances through the site. In the years of 2011 to 2013, at least 6 deaths were linked to drugs sold on the Silk Road. Dramatically, Jordan M., a Microsoft executive, was found dead of an overdose in front of his computer that was still logged onto the Silk Road. A 16-year-old in Perth, Australia, and another in Camino, California, both died of drug overdoses from drugs purchased on the Silk Road. While authorities knew the site was operated by a person using the handle Dread Pirate Roberts, they did not know who that handle belonged to. They did know that the commissions from 2011 to 2013 were over $13 million. Then law enforcement stumbled on an ad for a programmer to work on the Silk Road. They researched the email address linked to the ad and connected it to Ross Ulbricht. They quickly tracked Ulbricht down at a public library and arrested him. While he was logged into the site administration panel of the Silk Road on his laptop using the library's Wi-Fi. At the end of a 4-week trial, Ulbricht was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences and heavy fines. But then 2025 happened. In the first 6 months of 2025, Trump has pardoned thousands of people convicted of federal felony crimes, and Ulbricht is but one of them. Here, I'll let Rand Paul tell you about why Ulbricht shouldn't be in jail while alleged illegal immigrants are being disappeared from all over the country without due process.
You know, I've always been a believer in fair and appropriate punishment. I was for the First Step Act. I talked to President Trump many times in his first administration about it. There were many nonviolent drug prisoners in federal prison that had been in for decades and had never harmed anyone purposefully. In Ross's case, they were using his website, so he designed a website that he allowed people to do and trade illegally on, and that's against the law. But that doesn't sound like something that you get no second chance. I'm a believer that people who make mistakes by either using or selling drugs deserve a second chance. I mean, he's been in prison for 12 years. He's been a model prisoner, but he was looking at never, ever getting out for designing a website. The people that sold drugs on his website got like 4 years in prison, 6, 7 years in prison, which you can argue whether that's
actually
sold
the drugs.
Yeah, the people that sold the drugs got minor sentences. I guess they convinced them to testify against him somehow, and he gets 12 years. So it just wasn't appropriate. It was a big cause also for libertarians. Donald Trump went to libertarians and he said, I want your vote and I'll free Ross Ulbricht, and he kept his promise. And all I can say is thank you, Donald Trump.
So today, Ulbricht is a free man without any oversight. I wonder if anyone is tracking new marketplaces on the dark web. Let's wrap this video up. While Trump was president from 2017 to 2020, we had riots in this country that wreaked havoc on public property and private safety. Then Biden was president from 2021 through 2024. We had no riots. Now Trump is president again, and we have riots. So who do you think the problem is? Who do you think is responsible for these nationwide riots? Also, tell me why you think that person might be responsible. The United States is a deeply divided country right now, so light up the comments and tell me all your thoughts on why you think it's divided right now. I want to hear what you think the reason for the riots is and why you believe that. This is the first video I'm doing on criminals pardoned by Trump. If you'd like to see more, like, share, and subscribe so that I know you want to see more. If there's a particular one you'd like to see, leave a comment. Give me the name, give me some details so I can look it up and research it. And now, I got a jam, so tag, you are it. The modern Silk Road was a dark web marketplace set up by criminals to exploit. The Silk Road was a trading route that worldwide, politicians and law enforcement were seeking to shut the So today, Ulbricht is a free man without any oversight, while... So who do you think the problem is?